Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom and welcome to episode 2 of our podcast. I'm Leo and with me, as was last week, is James.
Hello again.
Okay, so we're going to run down the obviously the news of the week and we'll have a bit of a discussion towards the end about a particular sort of geeky topic. So let's jump straight into the news. And this week, in the new Flash pilot broke and it got leaked on YouTube. Did you get a chance to see it?
Do you think it was leaks, or do you think CW did it on purpose?
Do you know, I was thinking about that because they actually leaked the Wonder Woman pilot got leaked, as did the Mercy Reef or Aquaman pilot.
Yeah.
And obviously, I don't think it was on YouTube, but they got leaked. So I'm wondering.
I thought it was a leak. Bearing in mind it's not airing till October with Arrow season 3. I think they leaked it to get an early reaction, and they've still got time to tweak it before they actually release it.
Yeah. I mean, I managed to watch it. My review's up on the channel. But what did you think of it? Because I'd love to get your opinions on it.
I thought it looked awful and was surprisingly good.
Yeah.
I hope they do more with the bit at the beginning with the almost CSI style stuff with the graphics on the screen. I liked, and I hope they do more of that with him being the forensic scientist. If you know of the Flash, then the ending wasn't really a surprise, nor the revelation about the death of his mother. But again, kind of like Arrow, the geek bits that were in there were really good. Did you see the Grodd cage?
I did, yeah.
And the Wayne Tech Queen merger headline at the end as well. The little things like that I thought were really, really good. Yeah. And I'll definitely be watching it now. I'm much more interested than I was before.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I thought it reminded me more of Smallville than Arrow, though.
Right. Why?
Because for me, I felt it skewed to a slightly younger audience.
Yeah.
Not saying it's necessarily a bad thing, but obviously they've got Arrow, which is a little darker.
Yeah, there's a lot of violence in it.
So I'm wondering if Flash is going to be... Because it's obviously a lot more super-powered, isn't it?
Yes.
And
I've heard it's going to be more sci-fi based, whereas Arrow is more kind of real gritty crime based.
Yeah.
And certainly when you've got... They're not at all mutants, they're metahumans, honest. And you start with someone like Weather Wizard, you're going down a more fantastical route than you are with Arrow immediately.
Yeah. And it's Smallville, they had the kind of the what do they call it, the crypto freak of the week.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be more along the lines of that. And you've kind of got this the bit where he kind of fancies his sort of female friend and just like just like that dialogue was horrible.
That it is a younger crowd as well. It seems to be more him and youngsters as opposed to Arrow, where there was a lot more interaction with the grown-ups, with the parents and Merlin and that sort of thing. Yeah. So I can see it being skewed for the younger audience. But if they take the template that they used with Arrow, and again you've got the DC writers like Jeff Johns involved in it, then it can only be a good thing. And I think it will do well.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I mean, on the subject of Arrow, where there was some details sort of given out about the potential big bad for season 3, character called Seth, and apparently he's been said to. They're asking for someone with reptilian eyes, which
an actor with reptilian eyes.
Yeah, well, who's
why use contacts?
Well, I don't know if they mean actually reptilian eyes, but they kind of. Someone who looks maybe that kind, sneaky, yeah. Right. And this has led to speculation that he's going to be kind of some snake-based bad guy.
Right.
What do you think about that?
I like the fact that Arrow is real-world based, and you've got the get-out clause with the Mercuru, which I can just about go along with, but I don't think they should go a lot sillier with it. No. All the baddies so far have been well-trained or talented humans, really. I think if they go down the more...
Well, they've hinted at Solomon Grundy, though.
Yeah, but again, he can just be superpowered by the Mirakuru, can't he? Yeah. Just extra strong through that. In addition to that,
Stephen Amell has kind of like non-confirmed and sort of no-commented that the fact that Nightwing would appear.
Woohoo!
Which sounds like that means he'll appear.
Yes.
And he's also he won't be growing the goatee. So, they won't have the classic Green Arrow look. But I can probably live with that, to be quite honest. Okay, so moving on to Star Wars news. Obviously, Harrison Ford out with the broken leg, which has been revealed now. at least missing 8 weeks of shooting, and some plot details have come out about this film now. So this may be slightly spoilery if you want to avoid the any sort of spoilers for Star Wars. But apparently, the rumor is the plot of the film basically is going to centre around Han Solo as he's kind of searching the galaxy for Luke.
Yeah.
So obviously, with Harrison Ford being out. Apparently, J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy, is it?
Yeah.
Both want now to push the film back to 2016.
Really?
But Robert Iger, who's head of Disney, Disney, doesn't want that. He wants them to stick to.
The last thing I saw was that they would move his scenes to the back of shooting, and that they would be able to shift it around and do everything without him. And then, obviously, I saw that it was mainly. He was the main character, and it did seem like a hard task.
I mean, I guess they can do a degree of that, but I think, that to a point it's going to have an effect.
Yeah.
And obviously, something like Star Wars, it's such an effect-heavy film. Obviously, they need to have a lot of time to work on the effects and things like that.
I think, bearing in mind, like we said last week, the way the schedules work now with these big tentpole movies, that the studios base so much of their income around them. And they schedule so far in advance that is there any room in 2016? They pigeonholed December 2015, and you don't usually get a big blockbuster around Christmas. It's usually in the summer, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they seemed to have that market set. Bearing in mind it's not necessarily a kids' movie, but it's a family-friendly film, so Christmas would be a good time if you're not going to go in the summer. I think that's going to be, from a corporate point of view, a big problem for them if they do have to push it back.
There's also been some discussion about some more plot details, and the fact there's going to be these Sith witches, which are going to be the kind of the bad guy, and the Mandalorians, of which Boba Fett uses the armor, will apparently make an appearance as well as kind of some kind of like mercenary types. I mean, I forget the character's name, but there is actually a Sith witch in the Clone Wars. She's kind of bald and blue. I know begins with A. I can't remember the actual character's name if I'm completely honest. But
with which, are we going for full-on magic, or are they just bad women?
I think they are. They kind of use the Force, but there's some like I guess a variant of. To be honest, I never watched the Clone Wars.
No.
And Ajante Ventress, I think her name might be something like that.
Yeah, it's a song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. I've not seen it, so we'll see. I don't know. It kind of seems a bit of a rehash, I've got to say. Just like the Sith again, just like...
It does sound like they really want Darth Maul-esque characters to come in.
Yeah.
And be spooky and mean bad guys again. Whereas, obviously, with the original trilogy, Darth Vader was enough just as a big, powerful guy.
Yeah.
I think possibly trying too hard to be too cool.
Yeah.
But then, until we see anything about it...
Cool. So, Pacific Rim 2.
Yes. Excited?
I am excited, yeah.
You like it?
I did like Pacific Rim. It's not a film... I kind of wasn't blown away by it. Yep. But I enjoyed it.
Yes. It was going to be big robots fighting.
Yeah.
Which were the best bits. I thought
I liked it better than Godzilla.
Right. I thought the emotional character development seemed a little bit tenuous with the adoptive father and everything going on there. It seemed like they really wanted justification for robots fighting monsters when really everybody's just going to see robots fighting monsters, not father figures and doomsday speeches sort of thing. But I would definitely go and see the second one.
No, it does. I mean, that would be, and apparently there's a cartoon show as well.
Yes, the anime version, which will probably be the best of the lot because with that there won't be time for massive character arcs.
True that. So talking about Batman versus Superman, did you see the pictures of Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor with long hair?
No, I'm kind of hitting the point of avoiding the spoilers. I saw the LexCorp building, which was a building with LexCorp written on it. And I've seen the kind of rough plot details where he's meant to be the younger style, almost internet guru sort of style bad guy, which is probably a better way to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got like long red hair
Right.
down to his kind of waist. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be he'll lose the hair somehow.
You've got to imagine he's got to go bald.
Yeah.
That's one of the defining features, isn't it? Maybe it'll be some sort of Superman eye blast.
Yeah.
Turns him bald. Some sort of kryptonite cancer.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, it's going to be a race between him and Professor X. Who's going to go?
Yeah.
Who's going to go? The race to go bald.
I can see it being kryptonite cancer or something like that. Means he ends up losing all of his hair as he's desperately trying to get his kryptonite armour on to beat Superman.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so the Fantastic Four reboot has been said to have a found footage feel to it. Now, bear in mind this is being directed by Josh Trank,
Yeah.
whose only other film to date is Chronicle, I believe, which of course is a found footage film.
But do you think of it as one?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, I mean, I know it is, but when I recall the film, I don't. It was so well done that it wasn't as obvious. Going back to the obvious ones like Blair Witch or Paranormal Activity and that sort of thing, it didn't come across as a found footage film. It was done better. I mean, even than Cloverfield. All of those films to me say found footage. When I think back of Chronicle, I remember more of what happened in it than the found footage element. I know the trailer bigged it up, and that was kind of the cool part of it.
I don't think it's saying it's going to be found footage, but I think what I mean is we're going to have lots of like kind of shaky cam and that sort of thing, and that sort of I guess more sort of guerrilla filmmaking. Perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be the coming of age film anyway, so it's going to be a reboot, I would imagine, right from the start, and they'll just ignore the previous two, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But there hasn't been one for a while, has there? What was the last, I mean, not counting.
Well, there's quite a lot of low budget films. I mean,
not counting the horror ones.
I mean, it'd be interesting to maybe to do. I don't think it's going to be a found footage film as such, but maybe it will have found footage scenes in it, perhaps.
Yeah. Hopefully, it won't be a rip off of the Hulk cartoon where they're just talking to the camera at various points, which works for that. But
I guess we'll see. I must admit, my enthusiasm for that film is not massive. I have to be honest.
I'm not a massive FF fan.
But staying with Marvel, but moving over to TV, they've cast a couple more roles for the Daredevil TV show. You've got Rosie O'Dawson as an unspecified role.
Yeah.
Some people think she may be Elektra or Echo, possibly.
I don't think she'd be Elektra. I think she's probably a bit old for that role. I think they'd be a younger person for that.
She's kind of a bit of a. It's good casting, I think, because she is kind of a kind of. I don't say geek icon, but she's certainly sort of entrenched in.
She's got the cool element.
Yeah, she's obviously Sin City. Obviously, she's been in the Clerks. Clerks 2? Yeah, Clerks 2. And a few other kind of like sort of genre type movies as well. So I think she has got that sort of fanboy blessing, so to speak. And I quite like her. She's quite a likeable.
She could have been Jada Pinkett Smith.
Yeah.
Which would have been very annoying.
Did you see the images of Ronan the Accuser for Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yes.
What did you think?
Chunky.
I thought quite liked it. I mean, they've obviously adapted it slightly for for the screen, but I actually thought I quite like it. I think it's quite unrecognisable as Lee Pace.
Yeah. I think if Benicio del Toro is going to insist on doing the overacting that he did at the teaser at the end of Thor 2, all the way through it, that could be quite a distraction.
I'm hoping he's not going to be in it that much. If I'm completely honest.
There was quite a lot of scenery chewing going on there.
Yeah. And also sticking with Guardians of the Galaxy, apparently Nathan Fillion is going to be cameoed as Cosmo, who is a telepathic Russian dog.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's what you want from your big Marvel movie, Russian dogs.
Well, obviously, I mean, there's been a lot of geeks sort of saying, "Oh, Nathan Fillion should be this role, should be that role."
That's going to be for every film, isn't it? Because he's got that.
Yeah, I mean, as much as if he's doing like just a voice, then the option is there that he could do something else. But I thought You know, a lot of people will say, oh, he could be like in the background as that Mal Reynolds from Firefly,
Right.
not the same character.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you do that, then he's never going to be an actual superhero, is he?
Yeah.
You know, he's never going to be a proper, you know, character. He's always just have that be that one thing. It's shooting himself, and therefore a bit like Idris Elba from, you know, being Hemdale. He can never really be any other kind of major character. You know, when I think he would have ended, you know, maybe a decent sort of Black Panther or Luke Cage or something like that. So
or the Green Lantern.
Yeah. Well, he can be. I guess he could be Green Lantern because obviously that's a DC property.
Yeah, I don't think they'd let him though. Do you?
No, I don't know. Maybe, but I mean, there's. Well, we're going to a whole different thing now, but it's possible. I mean, it's. I mean, he's. You know, one of the more sort of prolific black actors, I would say. And if they got, I mean, realistically, if DC or Warner Brothers were to actually have the Jon Stewart Green Lantern, then, you know, and they were gonna. I mean, what sort of?
You'd imagine he'd be up there, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean,
he's got the build for it as well.
Yeah, he's Denzel Washington is probably, I guess, the Will Smith, and then you've got like sort of. Then I would say it's Idris Elba.
Yeah,
to be honest, you can go younger, like the one who's playing in Fantastic Four, but he's. I don't think he would be that because obviously he's in Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Right, so obviously Transformers is released in other countries, not released in the UK, so we've yet to see it.
Spoiler reviews?
No, I've avoided spoiler reviews, but I have seen the scores, and you know.
And how is it done? Because I'm avoiding them now. For those of you that didn't know, Leo is quite a big Transformers fan.
Yes, I am, and I have to say I actually love the original Transformers movie.
The first one.
The first.
Do you think they got it right?
Yeah, there is. I mean, there's stuff I would have preferred. I
think it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, but I enjoyed the original Transformers. When I first saw it at the cinema, we kind of first see them transform and stuff. You know, I enjoyed it.
They got that bit right, didn't they?
I did not like Revenge of the Fallen.
No.
And I thought Dark of the Moon was okay.
What was wrong with Revenge of the Fallen?
It was just.
Too much.
Too much. It was too well. You know, everyone's the comedy and all that.
Yeah.
And you know,
yeah, no, I think it did go too far that way.
Yeah.
I think if you're calling your film Transformers, they've got to be the main part. You can't have.
Well, that's the other thing as well. It's
main.
Apparently, I mean, again, we've yet to see this, but apparently it sounds like again the focus is on the human characters rather than Transformers, and it's the same problem that a lot of people say with Godzilla. Obviously, that they were just the kind of almost the backdrop of the focus being on human characters. But it's still going to earn like a shit ton of money.
Oh yeah.
So why, if you're Michael Bay, you're not going to mess with the formula, I don't think, and you're going to sort of continue on, you know, on that way, unfortunately. So you know, there you go. So moving on to Predator.
Yes.
So now originally this was news was sort of broke that there's going to be a reboot of Predator by Shane Black.
Yep.
And in case you didn't know, Shane Black actually had a small part as Hawkins in the original Predator.
Yep.
But it turns out this was actually slightly wrong, and there will be a new Predator film, although it's going to be a
continuation.
Sequel. Yeah.
Not a reboot.
So I actually think that's probably better because if they were going to reboot it, that says to me they were going to redesign the Predator.
Mm.
And I don't think that's necessary.
Don't want to happen.
No.
It's like the Alien. It's one of the ones you can't change. But I liked Shane Black's response to it, which is there's so much story already out there.
Yeah.
Then what you want to do is carry on with that and use that, and you don't want to just completely wipe it out.
Yeah.
You want to carry on with the mythos, and I mean, as long as it hasn't got Adrian Brody in it, I think we'll all be happy.
I didn't mind so much the Predators film.
The Alien versus Predator you had a problem with.
Even that, I kind of enjoyed it for a kind of a bit of a B-movie flick. But I mean, I think they got the Predators wrong in those films. In the first one, they were too big and they weren't the kind of, they were just like lunks, you know, which is not what the Predators are.
Yeah.
But you know, I think.
What do you think about Shane Black being in control of it? Bearing in mind,
I like Shane Black. You know, I know a lot of people have problems with the Iron Man 3, but I think that's actually a small vocal minority in the internet. Sorry, internet.
I thought it was really good. I thought it was brilliant, the Mandarin twist.
Yeah, I liked it. You know, I'm a Marvel fan, and I must admit I didn't really care about the Mandarin.
No, I mean I didn't see it coming, and when it was there, it was brilliant. It was done really well. It wasn't done cheaply.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how he'll do with full-on, I guess, would you call it nearly horror action, which the Predators kind of are.
Yeah.
I mean, is he going to try and make it a 15?
These
Will the
days,
studio try and make it a 15?
these days even the PG-12 what they get in America, but
which kind of goes against the whole ethos.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, but we'll see, I guess. But I'm happy with Shane Black doing it. He's obviously knows about the project. He's familiar with it, and I don't think his like resume of films is bad at all. I mean,
no. I think he's brilliant. I just don't know how he'll do with, as I say, horror action as opposed to comedy action, which is what he's done before.
Yeah.
Quite a lot.
Well, even even the original Predator, which is quite a series. So, which I have to say, I actually think is Arnie's best role.
I prefer Predator 2.
Really?
Sorry, yeah.
Good.
I think it's because I saw it first, and so I preferred that setup with it.
I think that is Arnie's best. I mean, it's not a stretch, admittedly. Get to the chopper! I'm here! Kill me, I'm here! But I think he did that quite well, and I love him. The Predator it looks timeless. It's like a film I think that stands up today just as well as it did back then when it was first released. And there's probably
been enough time between the last ones that weren't brilliant and this new one coming out, which will obviously be a couple of years, for people to forget, or for new people who don't know about the past ones to see it.
Did you see the images from the new Mad Max film? Have you seen them?
Yes.
Starring Tom Hardy, Charlize Theron.
Yes, and she's done crazy stuff with her hair again.
Yeah, so she's basically got like very short sort of cropped hair.
Yeah.
Lots of kind of dirty makeup and stuff. I gotta say, I don't know if this one is going to be a particularly good...
Do you think it's a franchise starter?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's going to have a lot of traction.
It
might be a good film.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Cause it's George Miller who did the first two films.
Yeah.
And, so he's in charge of this, and this is his kind of baby. So I think, if you like those first two films, it will be more of the same. But as for a kind of starring vehicle that's going to be massive, I don't know.
It's been so long coming. I mean, it's been one of the ones that's been floating around for years and years. I just wonder, is anybody that interested in it anymore?
Exactly,
from a geek point of view.
I mean, when was the last time we had a kind of a successful post-apocalyptic film?
Yeah.
That was in cinema, can't even remember. Like The Postman,
successful.
Yeah, it's true. No, it's been a while, so I don't know how well I'll do.
If you were going to have somebody as your lead man, Tom Hardy is a good bet.
Yeah.
And then you've got Charlize Theron, who is also a good actress. I mean, you've got the boys and the girls interested in going to see those two for a start. And as we said,
I have to say, with Charlize Theron, she's kind of one of these people who sort of throws herself into the role.
Yes.
And she's not afraid. I mean, we've seen her in like Monster, sort of ugly herself up and stuff. So, she's one of these actresses who is not too obsessed with being
pretty,
the pretty, sexy one all the time. She's happy to kind of do, which is good.
I bearing in mind that it's based on a niche Australian movie, I don't think it's going to be massive. And again, I don't think you're going to get many people who were big fans of the original at this late stage running out to the cinema to buy tickets, and unless they get some really good marketing going, it could just fly under the radar.
Yeah. Cool. So let's talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Do you see the
new Shredder?
The new trailer?
Yep.
And what are your opinion on that?
I still don't like them. I'm a massive fan of the current cartoon, and I think it's the best incarnation of them. I think the style's excellent, the animation style, the characters are brilliant. It was interesting what they did with the Krang in terms of making it a different style of baddie. And you still had all the other characters in there like Shredder and Splinter. I don't know if it's gone too realistic with the look of the turtles, where they do just look like giant turtles.
But I think, in its defence though, in regards to that, I think these days it's if you're making a kids film, kids these days want to, they're more exposed to adult material than say, what is it, 92 when the original Turtles film came out?
I guess so.
you know, you didn't have like the internet like you do now. So I think kids these days, and you can't make a kids film and make it too kiddie. Otherwise, you only you're going to only affect a really young demographic. Kids these days, I think, have grown up a lot quicker. So to make a successful film, you have to make it, even though it isn't maybe aimed for kids. You've got to have it at least some trappings of maybe a bit of a, you know.
Do you like the style of the Turtles?
I got to admit, that's a film I wouldn't be that worried about to see. It's one of those films that I'm kind of like so about. Do you like? I thought it was okay. I quite like some of the lines of dialogue in it. I quite like where he makes the Batman voice.
Yeah.
And that was quite good. And the bit where they sort of they say, you know, are the aliens? And don't be stupid or something.
What did you think of Shredder? Who clearly is just lots and lots
Super Shredder.
blades,
Yeah.
lots of knives coming out of everywhere, and looks more like a blender.
Yeah, I mean, one of the sticking points with fans was that William Fichtner, who's obviously Caucasian, was going to be Shredder, and but it was kind of hinted at that he may not be the kind of the real Shredder.
Right.
As to there's a kind of a mark, you know, sort of shadowed character who
Kevin Nash is coming back.
Well, who knows?
What about April and Megan Fox? Do you think she's just going to play exactly the same role that she played in Transformers again?
Let's be honest, she's not the best actress.
April O'Neil's meant to be quite lively.
Yeah.
In Turtles, isn't she? She's kind of the sort of girl that stands up for herself, and I'm not entirely sure she can pull that off without just being really, really annoying.
Yeah, she's just pure eye candy, isn't she? Let's be honest.
Yes.
But, you know. Okay, so Edge of Tomorrow, let's talk briefly about that. Money-wise, has not done those sort of numbers that they were hoping. Apparently, I haven't seen it, to be honest, but apparently it's a very good film. I don't know if you got a chance to see it.
No, I haven't done yet. To be honest with you, it's one of the ones I was going to watch this weekend. So I might have more on that next week. I've heard the ending is interesting, but again, I've avoided spoilers on that.
Yeah.
It's one that I want to see.
I think that Oblivion film, and also I think After Earth has hurt this.
Yeah.
Because you've had two sort of high-budget sci-fi films that weren't well received.
I thought Oblivion was better than After Earth.
I haven't seen either of them, if I'm honest.
Again, there's a twist in Oblivion that is not even vaguely original, but I guess different for a big budget movie. But it was a bit slow, I thought. I don't know. I like the look of Edge of Tomorrow. I like the idea of it.
It's one I'll probably see when it comes out on DVD, to be honest. So I'm going to wait for that. I mean, I'm really not that fussed about it. The trailer was just very bad.
Is it the Tom Cruise element, or is it the actual storyline itself that doesn't?
It just looked dull, if I'm honest.
Really?
The trailer to me just made it look kind of dull and just kind of like a little bit sort of. It was just going to be kind of a bit of an arty thing. Just
right.
It's one of those ones like. Not that fast. And apparently the trailer is not a good trailer.
Right.
But, you know, there you go. I have to say, right, this is an idea for another video that I'm going to do, but while we're talking about it, Interstellar.
Yeah.
Right. Do you reckon that's going to be a big hit?
Is it Matthew McConaughey's the male lead?
Yeah.
The trailer, to me, looks like... I kind of get the feeling that they've cut it so that there looks like there's more Earth than there actually is. Bearing in mind the name, you can imagine the majority of it takes place in space. But by the look of the trailer, it was 3/4 Earthbound stuff, and then the last bit was space.
Yeah.
But I can't see it being that.
I don't think they're doing a particularly good job in marketing. I mean, anyone who's a Christopher Nolan fan, I know is going to be, oh no, it's going to be great. And,
it will look very pretty, and it will be wonderfully shot, and it will probably be quite interesting. As long as Christian Bale's not doing a Batman voice anywhere near it, it will be fine. I agree, though. I don't know if it will be... It's clearly had a massive budget thrown at it, because it is Christopher Nolan. But I don't know if it will make a shed load of money.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be a more interesting trailer than the very arty one that has been released.
Yeah, I don't even think... I mean, I can only speak to in England, But I bet you if I asked 20 people out on the street if they heard of Interstellar, even if it's kind of like young sort of people, I bet you the majority would say no.
I don't know when it's due out. It's not for a while yet, is it?
No, not for a little while yet, but I don't know. Maybe they'll need to have some sort of spectacular trailer. But so far, I think the marketing has been sort of quite poor on it.
Bearing in mind, he's one of those directors that likes to do the big budget, small budget. So in between Batmans, he did like the Prestige and that sort of thing. I can't help but feel he's doing his small budget arty film, but with the massive studio backing that he can now get, having done the Batman franchise. And I think he's just doing...
So he's become a bit self-indulgent.
Possibly. It could be brilliant. You never know. I mean, other than certain issues with the plot and casting of the Batman films, I think all of his films have been good. I mean, going back to Memento and that sort of thing. I like his style. I just think sometimes he needs to rein the plot in. Which could be a problem if you're doing a more arty film with a massive budget. Yeah,
fair enough. Okay, so that'll do for the news. This is a bit of a discussion topic now. I want to sort of talk about the Marvel Universe, and I want to talk about do we think we'll ever see like a Civil War storyline within the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Now, if you're unfamiliar with what Civil War is, I think this was arguably one of their better sort of big events in comics of recent years, and essentially the plot was after a kind of an accident caused by superpowered beings.
It was Speedball.
Yeah, well, it was the New Warriors, wasn't it? And Nitro, who was kind of one of the bad guys, basically killed like loads of innocent people, including like lots of kids. And the government basically sort of comes down and sort of says, right, we want to have regulations and registration with the kind of the sort of superhero community, and essentially you've got pretty much half the sort of superpowered community saying they're heroes, I guess, in favour, and then half not. And you've kind of got Iron Man
versus Captain America.
They're the kind of the two sort of pillars. So Iron Man for, Captain America against.
Which is interesting because you'd imagine that historically Tony Stark would be the wild card and Captain America would be the patriot. And I guess that's what made it more interesting is because the roles had been flipped almost.
And I think that they have thought about it. Now, I've heard some other sort of like discussions on things like YouTube that they say they don't think that the kind of Civil War will happen. I think it might. And a lot of people say, it won't happen because, for example, Spider-Man's owned by Sony. But yeah, okay. I mean, Spider-Man arguably was behind, Iron Man and Captain America was probably the third most important
he was
character.
A big changer, wasn't he? He was against it, and then Iron Man persuaded him to be for it. And
other way around.
No, because then he came out with Iron Man. He was there because then he was Iron Spider.
But then he went to Cap's side
and then went back.
So, but I think, I mean, it can be adapted. I don't think you're going to. I mean, the X-Men weren't in the Civil War, so you don't have the problem with Fox in regards to the X-Men. And you had Fantastic Four, but I think there's so many other characters who you can kind of, use instead of. I don't think you'll have as many characters if they did do a Civil War.
What would it need to be? If effectively you've got the Avengers splitting in half, which you could get by the time you've got to Avengers 2, and we've chucked in all the extras that are coming along, like Ant-Man and...
you've got the Netflix guys as well, like, Daredevil and that sort of thing, Doctor Strange, I mean, I don't, maybe not Guardians of the Galaxy, but I think, I mean, I don't think you'll see it yet, because obviously Avengers 3 is going to be Thanos.
I think there's more likelihood of the much-rumoured Planet Hulk storyline coming along, because that's one thing that you can do with the Hulk that makes him interesting, which I thought was very good. I thought Civil War and I thought House of M was a bit rubbish and Utopia was a bit rubbish, but Planet Hulk...
Well, you couldn't do House of M with it. That's an X-Men based storyline. But the reason why I think Civil War is going to be potentially be adapted is, if you remember the end of the first Avengers film, there's even some news reports about these guys are going to potentially be a menace. And then we go over to things like Captain America 2, where we've got SHIELD breaking up, and again this kind of, even though technically I guess Shield aren't necessarily superheroes, but they've kind of
that community is
again
popular.
They've had basically been problematic and kind of been infiltrated by Hydra and things like that.
Hydra.
And it kind of sets it up, I think. And the other thing is as well, I think this is a good way because there's the contracts for the current roster.
9 films or 6 for some of them.
Well, Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans. I think this will be a good way to kind of put a full stop
on them.
on the contracts, and then I don't know, maybe whatever they want to do, reboot or recast, reboot or. I mean, obviously the death of Captain America was was really a result of Civil War. But I mean, you could even change it up. I mean, if Robert Downey Jr., for example, doesn't want to do Iron Man, you could potentially change it to Iron Man, who gets killed possibly.
Didn't really get killed though, did he? He just got thrown back.
Yeah. I don't think they'll go there, but so I think it potentially. And the other reason I say it is with the Avengers 1, basically you had an extraterrestrial menace. With Avengers 2, you're going to have a terrestrial menace, but kind of a science fiction menace.
Still not realistic.
And with Avengers 3, I think it's going to be Thanos, which again you're going back to a kind of an extraterrestrial menace. If we see an Avengers 4, which I'm pretty sure we will, because they've pretty much said they're going to have Avengers, Marvel films up to 2028.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to just rinse and repeat and have like another sci-fi bad guy turn up. I think they'll change it up.
I think in this way, this Planet Hulk almost works because you could do where Hulk just goes mad and smashes up the city.
So you're saying that you think that World War, because Planet Hulk isn't an Avengers thing, that's just going to be Hulk.
Yeah, but it starts out with they send him out into space because he's too much of a problem.
Yeah.
Then you can get a standalone Hulk film where you don't have to worry about him being the strongest there is and the problems that occur with him being on Earth where no one's really going to be able to stop him. You send him off to another planet which you can then develop the character of the Hulk being the intelligent Hulk. He can still beat up everyone because it's lots of aliens. Then in Planet Hulk he comes back and it becomes World War Hulk, and then that could spark off Civil War because he's come back again and he's causing more problems, so then they need registration.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the comics of Civil War, I mean, there was a few characters that were absent. So I don't think, as far as I remember, I don't think Hulk was in.
I think he was off doing.
Yeah, I think he was out.
Planet Hulk
at that period of time, and Thor wasn't in it either because I think he was, dead at that point. And they had like the Ragnarok clone.
Yes.
But like I say,
clones are always popular.
But because you haven't got things like obviously Spider-Man and Fantastic Four, they can substitute characters and.
Yeah, I think by the time we're clearly going to see more Avengers in Avengers 2. I don't think Guardians of the Galaxy is going to really join in. I think they're going to spin off and do things like Nova and more space stuff with that.
Yeah.
But I think by the time we've got to, Marvel Phase 3, there's going to be enough Avengers to warrant a fight between them. I mean, certainly then they've never been billed as the happy family that they are in the comics, in the films.
Yeah, well, even in the comics, they've had issues sort of periodically. And part of the thing on the Avengers, their roster is always kind of changing. Yeah. Which we've, obviously we haven't really seen yet. Obviously, we know that everyone from Avengers 1 is going to come back for Avengers 2. But by the end of the film, will we have the same lineup that we began with? Obviously, we know that Vision, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are all coming into it. So, potentially it might mean we lose some people. But it doesn't mean to say they're still not around, I guess.
I mean, the beauty of it is you can always get someone back for a cameo, as we saw in Days of Future Past, where you can pay someone just to be in a later film as a 5-minute cameo to keep everyone happy and still keep that Avengers mythos going. Yeah,
I mean, if we look, like, say, past Avengers 3, I mean, we know that we're going to have a Doctor Strange film by then. We know that we're going to have Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Daredevil, and Ant-Man, and Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
They're all going to be, and plus there'll probably be other characters introduced by then as well. I mean, if we ever see a Black Panther film, I guess that
Yeah. I mean, realistically, all you need.
I mean, there's talk of Inhumans as well, isn't there? So
that would be good.
So.
Although I'm not sure how they do Lockjaw as a massive teleporting dog. That could be quite interesting. But yeah, I think, bearing in mind they've got the big two in terms of Captain America and Iron Man, it is definitely feasible. Because they're the two that you really need.
Yeah.
And you build the rest of the film around the conflict between those two.
Yeah. And that's what I think they'll do, and I think there's good chance for acting in that film. I think, so I think it's going to be attractive for the actors, because it's going to be kind of a different type of superhero film. It's going to be a lot of a lot more kind of conflict and sort of personal things like that. And I think it's something that audiences would be interested to see, but it's not going to be the same kind of thing. It's not going to be them aliens and stuff like we've seen probably the last two or three films.
I think Captain America 2 proved that you can do a thinky, big budget superhero movie without it tanking completely.
Yeah. So I think we will see it. I don't think it will be any time soon. I think it will be around Avengers 4 time.
Yeah.
That's my prediction. I could be wrong, and they could. Some people have suggested that they think Thanos might even go past Avengers 3 and be like the bad for event. I think that's stretching it out.
Yeah, I think if he's going to be in Avengers 2 in any way, which he apparently is, he's got to be involved properly in Avengers 3. Otherwise, there's absolutely no point at all.
Yeah, they're just dragging it on for too long, aren't they?
I thought it was bad enough that he wasn't the big bad in Avengers 2.
See,
Or do you think he's got a bigger part than?
But Joss Whedon has got a record saying that Ultron was always the plan. I don't know if I believe that.
I don't know.
I have to be honest. Ultron, because we know Thanos is really going to be. Ultron just seems a bit like a filler to me.
I really like Ultron as a baddie.
I do as well, but
and what I've heard about the look,
they've almost devalued him. I think.
Yeah. It sounds like they're making him look right with the what's been leaked about the CGI that's going on.
Yeah.
And certainly James Spader, if you're going to get a bad guy, he's going to be a good shout to do it. I'm just hoping that he doesn't get lost in the vision and space stuff that could be going on with Thanos as well.
Yeah. Fair enough. I'd say we'll wrap it up for today. Let us know your thoughts on any of the news topics, or obviously, what do you think about the Marvel Civil War prospects? Do you think it's a realistic idea, or will we see some other kind of Marvel film? Leave us your comments, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.